Hello, welcome to the craft room. We're back here today, as you can see from the title card, to make these bags. I made these recently and I decided to record how I did it so that you could make them too. A couple of things to say about them. First of all, they're made from 4 squares of any kind of block that you want. I've done a granny square one, and I've done African violet. Hold it up the right way. So anyone you like. They make a good crossbody bag, handbag, bum bag, fanny pack, whatever you want to call it. It's this shape, and when they've got stuff in them, it curls up a little bit like that. Looks a bit like a croissant. I call them a crescent because not everybody knows what a croissant is. So in the tutorial, I will also show you how to do join as you go method. All right. On the black, a little bit hard to see, but it's only granny squares. So if you know how to do a granny square, you'll be able to work it out. I think I show it clear enough. It's just a shame it was black. And on the African flower bag, I show you a different version of join as you go with solid DCs. Bit different, and I even figured out a twist as I was making it, and you'll see that in the tutorial. Talk about creating on the fly. Each of the bags has a lining, and it has a zip, and it has a way where you don't have to weave all the ends in. They actually help you. So we'll get to that. You will need a sewing machine to put the zip in, and I'm not going to show you how to sew a zip in. There are a lot of YouTube tutorials on how to sew a zip in by much better sewing teachers than I am. I manage, but I'm not a teacher in sewing. I like to teach in crochet, maybe a bit of knitting, but not sewing. But anyway, I've made both my bags with cotton. I will tell you and show you the label in the tutorial which cotton it was, but any cotton will do. Both bags were made with a 4.5mm crochet hook. I don't know what that is in the letter terminology. I'm sorry, you'll have to look it up. They also have a adjustable strap, so you can make it bigger or smaller however you like. This button here just goes through the strap to make it bigger or smaller, so that's handy. And I think that's all I had to say on the intro. Please, if you like what we're doing here, subscribe, put a like on it, share on it, because it puts us higher in the listings so more people see us and we can make more videos. And I hope you like the tutorial. To make these bags, you need 4 squares. Now they can be any squares. These ones here are just granny squares. The yarn I'm using is actually this yarn here. Bring it up so you can read it better. And all I've done is just a normal granny square, changing colours every row. Now you might think I'm lazy for not doing my ends in as I go, but I'm actually going to cheat a little bit. Well, it's not actually a cheat. I'd say it's a tip, because what I'll do at the end is I'm going to pull all these threads through to the front, and then we are going to put a plain black fabric on the back. Because I'm going to make a bag with these holes are not good for a bag if you're going to put like your purse or keys in, because they'll get caught in the holes. So I'm going to put Visiflex or double-sided interfacing on the back of these with the threads pulled through to the front, so it will only stick where the yarn is. And then I'm going to put a material on the back and then pull the yarn threads through. I will show you what I'm doing when I get up to it, but I will not have to weave these threads through. They'll actually provide a form of quilting to keep it attached to the backing fabric. So you need 4 squares all the same. Now these both were made with the same hook and the same yarn. This is the African flower square, and this is just a granny square going through all the colours. Now I'm going to do join as you go to join these ones up. These ones here, if I make a bag, don't worry about these, that's something else. If I'm going to make a bag with these, it's not going to be very big, so I need to enlarge these first. So all I am going to do is add another row. If I put them on top of these ones, no, I'll put them on top of the finished one. They are exactly one treble row too small to be the same size as the granny squares. So all I've got to do is add one more row, which I will just do with normal trebles or double crochets if American terminology, and then they will be the right size. So I will come back when that's done. Now with these, what I'm going to do, if you're going to do join as you go in granny stitch, is this the right way up? Yes, it is. You only need to do one square completely all the way around with your final colour. Every other square, part of that square will be the part that joins to this original one. It will make sense when I do it. What I can do actually, I can start this off because I can show you that. So we get our yarn, do ourselves a slip knot. Now, I like to use standing stitches, and if you don't know what a standing stitch is, you leave the loop attached to your hook. Now, you can do standing stitches with nearly every stitch. I'm going to do double crochet, so I put the loop already on my hook. Now, to do join as you go with granny stitches, I do the first cluster, which is just 3 double crochets. Bring this up a little bit higher. Now, normally I would skip to the next one, but we are doing join as you go. So what I do, we're not going to go in the corner because we're past the corner. We're going to go into the first hole. So that's my corner hole, that's my first hole. And all we're doing is a slip stitch. Now, we flip that over there because we're now working back on the one we're working on. I don't know if you can see it, but my hand's now underneath, but I can see to pick up my threads. 2 and 3. Okay, once again, just a slip stitch to join. If you look at that now, that is now joined up, and it's got the distance of a double crochet between that and the next square. 2 and 3. Next slip stitch. With the white edged one, the join as you go, I will do that one different. So I will show you that one as well. And for this bag, you really can do any square you like. It doesn't have to be a granny square. It doesn't have to be an African flower. Yeah, African flower. Forgot the name for a minute. It could be any style of square you like, just so long as you do 4 of them, or you could do 4 different ones as long as they're all the same size. Now, I'm not saying everything I'm doing because it's just repeating its way all the way down. Get on through without it splitting. And that one. And then we join through that hole. Now, I'll just show you this. See how they're laying flat? That's because you're joining with a slip stitch. It gives you a flat join, it gives you the distance of another DC, and it finishes the square off nicely. Now this one up here, we will be joining that when we go across the top. Our last stitch will join that bit there. So for the corner, now you've got to pay attention on your corners. Well, you should anyway. We are doing this 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast. Feel free to slow the video down. So now, this one, Right, so we just slip stitch to there, and I will, now we had 2 in each corner. I will finish the rest of this row. That's right, because you need you need a finished row to attach the next square to, and this square doesn't have any finished rows, and that will be our next one. Now the way I did these granny squares was there was 2 chains in each corner, but no chains between the clusters on the row. So I'm not doing anything fancy here. I'm just finishing off this row. Actually, what I can do, I will very quickly, yes, I know it's very quickly, finish this one off. Won't take that long. And because all these squares are finished to the same size, I will have the same amount of clusters on every side, because they're squares, of course. Makes it easy to do the join as you go. You really, I mean, it's not impossible, but it's more difficult to do join as you go if your pieces are not exactly the same size. Alrighty. So we just finish this off the same way we've done every other row of this square. For those interested, I use pen hold. My thumb goes here, that goes there, and then I often use this finger just to keep stitches so they don't get too big. If you don't have a finger on the shank of the hook, sometimes your stitches can get too big. So if you just use your, was it index finger? Yes, it is. Your index finger, just to control how big your starting loops are on your stitches, it will make your stitches more uniform and tight. That's that little thing I've figured out. Alright, getting there, nearly done. Alright, so I'm back to where I started. I am just doing the first half of the last corner. Alright, so what we need to do now is we need to reach across. Now this slip stitch becomes our first chain. This is our second chain, and then we grab. Now because we've now got an extra loop, actually what I might do, just change my mind midstream, don't worry about me. Push back through the last loop. So we've got our, that's our slip knot. Every time you put a loop through, it's adding basically the width of a stitch. So what we're going to do is, this will be much easier to see on the white threads, but we will, no, don't do that. I usually do 2 chains at the end of everything to secure it, if I can get it through. Actually, I'll just leave that. We'll just pull that one through, but we'll pull it through with a long end so that it's not. Right, so that's our join. I've just pulled it through from the back. If I put it at the back, it'll look better. So there we go. Joined with a slip stitch all the way down. That's our first join as you go. So we now have 2 squares done. So the next one we got to do is the back one. So we join up again with a standing crochet. Excuse me, my allergies are acting up today. Now this one is going to be on the back. So we'll turn this over. I want to join this row here, but I also want to join this row here. So our join as you go seams for this square are that one and that one. So I will start here. No, we'll start here. It'll be easier to see here. So you start your double crochet, not a half treble. 2 and 3. Hold everything out the way while we single crochet in. Now remember, this is half the first corner. So we're not going into the corner, we're going into the first space, and we're just doing a single crochet. Flip that over the top so we can bring the yarn through and see what we're doing. And then jump to the first gap. 2 and 3, and then we go to the next gap and just slip stitch. Because I haven't put any stitches between the clusters, we don't want to add a stitch by doing a single crochet. That way it will lay flat and won't buckle on the side we're adding to. Next one down. Keeping on going. 2 and 3. Put that down there. Other benefit of doing standing stitches is you don't have any chain stitches being slightly too long or looking different. You might have a slightly looser very top, but that helps you in hiding them anyway. Alright, I'm just going to go to this corner to show you how you switch through the corners. This is our last one before we change over. Alright, so we are going, we do the first half of the cluster corner. And then we go through, we've got one corner here, one corner here. We want to go through the join right there. So we're not in either of them. And that's our one to go there. And then we do the other half of the corner. Now, if you're doing this on a blanket, this is the same join as you go use for blankets. I'm just doing my construction different because I'm making the crescent bag. All right, so that is our first one. And now we're going to work up this side here and connect it to this side here. So I'll just do this one and then I'll come back to you when I get to the top. 2 and 3. And then join to the next space between the clusters. All right, so now that is done. And if you look, that's our corner. It's all joined in the middle there. We've gone all the way up there. So if we lay that bag down now, you can start seeing the shape starting to happen. This one here folds in half, and then the last one will be attached here, like so. And that will make our crescent bag or half moon bag or whatever you want to call it. But that's the intention. So now I have two sides that have already got the granny stitches on them. So this one I can probably start here, go around and then do the point, and it will be all finished. And I will come back. It's done the same way, so I won't put you through watching me do that. And I'll be back when that's done. All right, so they're all joined together. And if you just scratch it a little bit, they all lay flat. And what's really cool is it can go that way as well, but that's not the bag. So now all I have to do with this is I will just put a line of double crochets around the top, and then that is all the crocheting done for the bag itself. I probably will put, I probably won't put a chain in the middle here. I'll decide that when I get to it, but I will let you know and show you once that's been done. And that's all my strings in the middle, quite a few strings. But like I said, I will be using them to help quilt the back to the lining. so we won't see them and I won't have to weave them in, which is nice. So I will be back once I've done this around the top, and then we will move on to the flower ones. All right, so I've done the first side, and what I ended up doing was that I put 4 double crochets in this end piece. 4 is a good number to attach a strap to. You can put a loop there and then attach an adjustable strap to. And then for every stitch, I just put 1 double crochet in each one. And then for where it's a join, I just put a double crochet into the top of the slip stitch that was joining them. So we've done all the way along here. So this is what our zip will attach to. I might even put a row of single crochet just in the back loop just to firm it up a bit. So we're now at the other end, and I've just put the 4 double crochets in there. Sorry it's black, but I'm just trying to show you. There you go, now you can see them. And so now we just got to do the other end, and then that is all the crochet done for this crescent bag. All right, we're all done with that. So what I ended up doing a single crochet row into the back loops of that double crochet row. But what I did not include the 4 stitches that are in the chain spaces on the very ends, because what this is for the zip, and the handle is going to be separate from the zip. So I didn't want to include that, if that makes sense. This will be left free so that the handle can attach to it. And I've done the same on the other side. All right, so that's all I'm going to do to this one for the moment. I'm going to start working on these just to get them up to size, and then I'll show you a different way to do join as you go with a more denser square. This is good for squares that have the granny stitch or something similar to granny stitch on the edges, whereas I'm going to show you a different one on these ones. So I will be back in a bit once I've done the the double crochet row all the way there and the outside edge to get them to the size that these were. I will be back. All right, back again. So I did a row of double crochets. I did 2 in every two double crochets, 2 chain in every corner, and then just 1 in every stitch all the way around on all 4 pieces. Now I did steam the backs just so they'll lay flat, makes them easier to crochet them together. So this one is slightly different to the first one. What we're going to do, I haven't gone around, I'm going to do this in the blue so it's a bit easier to see. So we do the beginnings of a double crochet, and then we pick up the other one, and basically what we're doing is a double crochet decrease. So we now have 3 loops on the hook, and then we'll pull through all 3. That's our first stitch. Now we have to do these as a decrease, because if we do them as separate stitches, it leaves a gap between the stitches and then it doesn't look nice. So that's the second one. See, once again, three loops on the hook, pull them through. And then when we get to the actual stitches, you match up the stitches either side as you go down. So that's the first one there. Oh, looks like we split the stitch. Try that again. There we go. And through there, and then pull through all 3. I will actually do one more so that I can show you it a little bit further done. And then this one. Once again, all 3. Now I'll put it down, pull the hook out, and there is our join. bring it up a little bit closer so you can see it. See, it's making like a flat braid on the top. It has got a little bit of a bump, but not as much as if we had them back to back. It is also gaining us the height of a double crochet either side. So I will continue this on down to here, and then I'll be back to show you how I do the corners. All right, so I've done that. Now I noticed something while I was doing this, and this is fine if you like the little raised ridge. Let's see if I can show you. See, it's got a little bit of a raised ridge. You do this and it's fine, but I noticed the back, it's very smooth. And what I might do is I might undo that, and then I'll do this the wrong sides facing, so I can have this on the top and lose that ridge. So this is me changing the pattern midstream, but I think it'll be all right. So I just wanted to show you that's what it looks like on the right sides. So if you don't mind that ridge along there, you keep going. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to undo that bit and then redo it the wrong way, as in these facing, the wrong sides facing out rather than the right sides. And I will get back with that and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so we've done that. I'll just pull this out so you can have a better look. Right. So we've done that. We are on the wrong side. There is our ridge standing up. But if we turn it to the right sides, we have a nice flat seam. And it's a little bit stretchy, which is great because this, while this block is square, it is what's the word? A little bit bumpy. So this not being so rigid will help. Now, from this point on, we can decide which way we want to go. What I might do is I might turn here and go this way. Then this square here is completed. And then the next thing I'll do is I'll join here and then join these two edges together. So what we do with that, without putting a twist in our yarn, is that I will do a single crochet. Actually, no, what I'll do instead of that is I will do a slip stitch. Do my original idea. It's a single crochet. Now, we have always gone from the one in front of me to the one at the back. And you've got to remember that with any join as you go, is to always join in the same sequence. So if I'm always doing the one at the front, then I always do that no matter where on the blanket I am or article that you're making. You repeat your sequence, that way it would all look uniform. And so I'll just get out of the corner, do the first one past the corner so I can show you what it looks like. And then this one. And then just one more so we're far enough past the corner that you'll be able to see it well. And then that one. So also, just in case you haven't noticed, for this one I'm coming in the back, for this one I'm coming in the front. It doesn't make a lot of difference, but it will look the same if you keep doing it. So let's turn this over so we can see the other side. And I have now turned the corner. So when I come to do the joining bit here, this one's going to go this way. And then that hole in there will close. That one there, because it'll have like that. You may have a tiny little hole in the corner, but you've also got these ones here, so it's going to look all right. Sorry for my crackly voice. Anyway, so I will continue this on. This one only has to get to this corner here. And then I will end off there. And I will be back to join for the middle part. Alright, so this is our first join all done. This is the right side, which is the wrong side for the join, but anyway, you get what I mean. So to do the next part, we need to attach our yarn to here. You see this here? This is where we crossed over. and the yarn has to get attached from there. So if you hold on to that and flip it to the wrong sides, that's it right there. That little chain, it's not really a chain, it's where the stitch goes to the other side. That's where we've got to attach our yarn to. So we'll leave that at the top, pick up our yarn. Now this time we're not going to do a standing stitch start because we need it from that spot. So we just go underneath that and do a slip stitch, right? And then we start off again doing our double crochet decreases, one leg on either side, starting with on the right side each time. Maybe think of it like a dance. You know, a two-step. What could it be? I don't know how dancing, but if you can think of it like that. So we have done 2 there and we have done 2 there. So our next one goes into the first one. So 1 step, 2 steps, and then spin her around. I could be wrong. Maybe it's spin him around. I have no idea. But you've just got to keep the patterning up. That way your stitches will look uniform and they will look neat. So 1 step, 2 steps, spin them around. 1 step, 2 step, spin them around. All right, so what I'll do, I'll just show you what that looks like from both sides. So that is our join there. Fairly neat join. Got the same size holes all the way around, so even though there is holes, it's uniform. And then we'll look on the bottom. That is the bottom. Very neat. Triangular little holes because it's a triangular join, but we've carried on our nice neat joining. So, and also just a hint, if you want to know what side you're on, you can see here, these V's are the top of your stitch. You see the V's? Every standard crochet stitch, with single crochet, double crochet, trebles, all have this on the top, right? Which is actually this loop of yarn carrying on to the next stitch. Whatever you do below that is what you call the stitch, but the top is just your carrying on. So how to know if you're on the front or the back is there's an extra loop. See, this is the back because we were working from that side. So the extra loop at the top under the V's tells you what side you're on. If there's only one, you're on the right side. If there's 2, you're on the wrong side. See, look on the other side, there's only 1. Here, there's 2 more. Just a little quick tip to know what side you're on. So I will be back in a little bit. I'll just carry on to here. And then our last one will be the V at the other end. All right, we're back. So I've now done the triangular join for that end. So all we have left now is to join up these either side of this last square. So let's turn it all inside out, and then I think I might start from this side because I'm right-handed, so it's easier to go from right to left for a right-handed person, in case you didn't know. So we are starting with a standing stitch again. So up we go. We put 2 in the corner, so that's the first leg. Make sure the right sides are facing each other. Left leg, and then spin it around. Right leg, left leg, spin it around. You're not really spinning it around, but I can't think of anything else to say. Right leg, left leg, spin it around. Right leg, left leg, spin it around. So that's that bit started. Double check that you've got the right things you're doing, yes. So when we get to the middle part here, all I'm going to do is do a slip stitch into that first V right there. But what I'll do, I'll get down to there and I'll show you that one because it might look a bit different when you get to it. Alright, so we've got to the corner. So we do the first two that go into the chain space. Left leg, right leg, spin it around. Now we want to just poke our way through the top of this stitch so that we get an even amount of both stitches. Now see, we've gone too far on one side. We want it through the middle and do a slip stitch and then get that string out of the way from last one, and then we start over here repeating our sequence. Try not to let that stitch get too loose, sorry, because you're pulling a bit of weight on it now. It may have a tendency to loosen off. That's why you have your string wrapped around this hand to keep the tension on. Alright, so we've done our 2 stitches and we carry on. Now you must remember that you're working on squares, which if you've done your square right, each side will have the same amount of stitches. So you should finish in exactly the same spot on both pieces. If you don't, it means you've missed something. So you might have to go back and just check along your line. You might find the most often missed stitch is the one just past the corner on the back side. That one there, because he sometimes gets hidden under the corner stitches. But like I said, you should finish in the same square on both pieces and if same stitch on both pieces. So if you don't, just go back and see if you can find where you've missed one. And I will be back when I get to the end of this row. Alright, all done. So this is all the inside. There's all our edges. So now we turn it out the right way. Push all our corners out. Push this corner out. And it sits much nicer. You're still going to get, especially with the colours I've used, it dipping in a little bit here and there. That should go away after time and use of the bag. Now I did cut off my join because it was in the middle here. If it had been at the end like the black one was, I would have left it attached. But I want to put the same kind of handles on, so I want the join to be over here in the corner. So I'm just going to do the same thing as I did with the black one. 1 row of double crochet with 4 in the chain loop on the corners so that I can attach the strap there. And then I'll do 1 row around on both sides, missing the chain loops, single crochet back loop just to firm up the edge. And then they're both all the crochet done. Right, I'm working on the top edge of the African flower bag, and I just wanted to show you how I did the join, seeing as it was on the wrong side. So I did the first 2 double crochets that would have been there for the corner. Then I did 1 double crochet around the stitch that was horizontal. Then I did 1 into the top of, I didn't catch that, but it is enough because it's around 2 pieces of thread. So 1 into the top of the join, and then the next one into around the stitch here. See, it's around the stitch, and then 2 into the chain, and then I carried on. It is actually, it's 2 stitches less than it would be if we'd have done the same join as the black one, but we're trying to bring the top in, not expand it. So losing 2 stitches here and on the other joins will be fine, and then when we do the single crochet in the back loop after the fact, that will firm it up more and give you a nicer top edge. If I put a stitch in for every stitch that's missing, the top would wave and it would be very hard to put the zip on. So I just wanted to show you that before I carry it on. I'll be back when the top edge is finished. All right, so that's all done. So we've got the double crochet row, and then we've got the single crochet back loop row. And there's all our lovely ends. So we've got the 2 bags done now. The big one, and it's only slightly smaller. So this curving here is because the way the square is made. If you look, it's not curving on this one. So I think once weight's been put into the bag and the handles are on, they will straighten out anyway. So next part, I got these 2 materials for this one. So that's going to go behind the crochet so that the holes are covered in, and then it's going to be lined with this one. It's not an exact match, but it was as close as I could get. So, and then I have this zip. It is a really dark navy blue. It's not black, but it's what I have. It's also a little bit short, but what I'll do is I'll put end cap on with the black just to cover the bits that I'm missing. I mean, you don't need it to open up right at the top of the handle anyway. You really only need it in the middle of the bag where your hand actually goes. So that'll be fine for that one. And then for this one, I've got this calico I got a while ago just to go behind it. Yes, it's cream, not white, but it's what I have. If you had white, it would be even better, but I've got to use what's in the stash. And then I have this lovely pale blue roses, which will be the lining for that. And I have a zip. This one's a dress zip, whereas that one was more of a jean zip, but the zips, they'll work. So my next thing that I'll come back is that I will iron these out flat and then fold them over and show you how I cut the lining out for these. And then once that's been cut out, we will go on to the next step, which is getting rid of all the ends without having to weave them in for hours, which is a good plan. I will be back. All right, I'm back now. Sorry if I keep saying all right, it's a habit. So all of my linings and other pieces of material have been ironed, and I've put them right sides together. So you've got that one, you've got that one, and the black and the cream. So I'm just going to show you, because they're all the same, I will just show you, probably on this one will be the easiest one to see. No, we'll do on that one because the top one is the one for this one. So I'm not wasting any material. We line the top up. You want a little bit of a excess. Make sure they're in line with each other. You want a little bit of an excess on the top. Now you don't have a gusset for this bag, so you can just lay it as flat as possible and get yourself a pen. Now, because this curve will flatten out after a while, we are just going to mark where the edge is. We're not racking it right on, we're giving a little bit of leeway for hem. Hems or seams, that's the word, seams. Okay, so my chain thing is there, the corner, sorry. Actually, I will mark it to the edge because a little bit extra is always a good thing. That's across there, that's across there, that's across there. This one, where is it? There it is there. Just lay that right out to there. Okay, so where is something I can use as a straight edge? Yep, now fold, that'll do. Just want to It does not have to be exact. It goes to match your bag. Your bag will be different to my bag, so I'm not going to give you any measurements. You just want to have a little bit bigger than you need and a little bit extra added for your seam allowance. Okay, so that's not terribly straight, so we'll just straighten it up a little bit, and that will do. And we'll just go straight up. All right, so that is my lining for the inside of the African violet bag, and I'm just going to pin here and there so that I can move it without losing my markings. And one over here. This is not an exact pinning, but you get the idea. All right, so that's what I need for that one. Then I will do move that out the way, put that with it, and do this one, because this one is actually a little bit bigger. And I needed to tell you something about this material. This material has this bit at the end. At the moment I can't remember what it is, but every material has this on the edges. This is where it was on the big drums when they print them out, and it gives you the name of the fabric. So it's Southwest from In the Beginning Fabrics, and a 2012 print. We don't want this on our lining, but we can use it as our seam allowance. So if we make sure we have our edges lined up like so, and bring this right up, I'd come back a little bit from it, but almost on it, like so, and then use the pen. So still want a bit of a seam allowance on the bottom, a bit more on here, one in the middle, and then this one comes right up here. Yep, just like that. Like I said, I'm not going to give you measurements because your crocheting will be tighter or looser. You'll pick a different pattern, so there's literally no point giving you measurements. And now I will put some pins into these lines, pinning the two pieces together, good sides together. This is really a fast and nasty way to do a lining for a bag, but it'll work. And put one at the bottom and one over here. Right, so that's been done with that. I have the black underneath, so what I will do, I will cut this out quickly. I have to turn it the other way. Just along my can see my scissors right at the end of the table. This is why we put pins in, because then I can flop it around and you can see what I'm doing. Right, so now we don't need any more of that one. Take that away. Here is the black. Now, if you remember, the black is going to go directly underneath the crochet. So this also needs to be the exact same size as the lining. So we will just pin this on. Looks like we've got a blunt pin there. That one's better. One here. So we don't have to draw this one out because we can use the first piece as a template. because it's for the same bag. And we'll just, that one there, and that one there. If you had a gusset in your bag, you wouldn't be able to do this, or you would, but you'd have to give yourself a lot more allowances. So then you just cut this out, and you want to sew them, but you don't sew them all together. You'll sew the black 2 pieces together and then the lining 2 pieces together. So you'll need 2 pieces of Visiflex for each bag, and if you know how interfacing works, you are going to be putting it on the inside of each bag. But before we do that, we need to get ourselves a needle. That one looks all right. And we want to get all of our ends that we had and pull them through to the front. Now, we don't need a needle for this. Well, you might for now and then, but you want to get all of these on the good side. And you want them to come through fairly close to where they're attached to the work. So I'm just pushing them through with my finger. You might need the needle for ones that are like in the middle of a stitch or something. So we're pushing these through. So when we put the interfacing on, they are not going to get stuck to the back and then work their way out to the front when you don't want them. So I'm just pulling them all through, even the one from the magic ring in the middle. Try and pull them through, like I said, close to where the knot is, where they're secured. That way, when you go to secure them, they'll be in the right place. Push that through. Alright, so I've just about done that square and it's not there, but they're all on this side now. So you do all that with the whole bag. Anything on the edge, just pull them to the edge. You just don't want the interfacing to stick to them. So that's to there. That's to there. That's on the inside. And that one's on the inside. Alright, so that whole square is done. On the back, there is no edges showing through. They're all on the other side, ready for the interfacing. I'll just do one square on this one. I'll do this corner one. So we start from the middle. And just pull them through. Alright. So you get the general idea. I don't think you need to see everything. Alright, that one will need a needle. That one. Alright, so some of these will need the needle. But it's the same idea. Just push them through to the good side while you put the interfacing on. Okay, one more there. Alright, so I'll need to do, oh hang on, I might get that. No, I won't get that through there. So like I said, you need to put them close to where they're attached to. So that one will, because it's all pretty dense there, I'll need a needle for that one. This one here will have to go through the middle there. That one's pretty dense as well. That one might be able to go through there. And what we do is we attach the interfacing to the back of the crochet, not to the material. Because what will happen is that the glue won't go in the holes, but the material will be there. You want the glue on the thread, not on the holes. Yes, you might have a few through there, but what you just do is just get a pen and break them, pull them back too. So these holes haven't got visible glue, because what will happen if you don't is that dust and stuff will get caught in those. You might get a little bit, but it will, you can just put it in the washing machine. Once you pull all these through, we'll be using these to secure it, and washing machine won't cause it any damage. So we're going to do that with both the bags. Then we're going to put it interfacing on the back, and then I will come and show you how to do the securing. All right, so we've got our first linings sewn and ironed so that the hem is on the inside. So that's those two done. And we have put the double-sided interfacing on both sides of the bags. Now, I just thought I'd leave it on to show you what it looks like. The glue is actually on the other side of this paper. But what you have to make sure is that when you take the paper off, that you can see the glue staying behind. I'll hold it up so you can see it. See, it's like a little cloudy web. That is your glue. So you very carefully, if it's not going to separate, take it back to the iron and do it some more. I didn't want to overcook it, if you know what I mean. Now, the reason why it's tearing like that is because I've left a big seam. Let's see if this side is better. A big excess on the that's not attached. So this one's going better because there's less overhang that's not been ironed down on this side. So it peels off, leaving the glue behind. You can put your hand on it. Alright, we'll just drop that on the floor. So now you can see the glue. Now, this glue here, not a problem. When I go to iron it, I'll just tuck that way and it'll stick to the lining. So this is our glue. And I'll do the other side so I can put the lining on and show you what it looks like. You got to watch though, because if you pull fast, you can pull the glue off too. So just take your time. Sorry about the noise if it's annoying. I am trying to be quick, but not too quick. You want a little bit of resistance because it means the glue's still good. There we go. All right. So that's all off. Now with this one, this pattern has less holes than the granny square. So what I did is I did all my little pieces that I'd collected up. It's still going to work, but it allows me to use these up and not waste them, because the principle is still the same. You just peel them off and leave the glue behind. Hold that up so you can see the glue. It's like a light cloudy layer on the top. So I'll do that one off camera. So what we do now is we want to get this surface against that. So we go like that. I shouldn't have turned it out, but I should have. We wanted the seam to be pressed so that when it goes the other way, it lays flatter. So that's all inside there now. And we will iron this to here, making sure to keep the seams right on the edge of the bag. So I will iron that, and then the next step is to secure these threads on this side. I'll be back to do that. All done now. So these have now been ironed to the inside of the bags. Remember, this is the outside with the strings pulled through. This one I turned the edge down only because I could, no real reason. I will probably have to play with a little bit to bring it right up to the edges, but just gets it out of the way for now. And this is the granny square one, adhered to the inside. This one have a bit of overflow for the glue, so I'll have to fix that as I go. So what I need to do now is find my needle, which has gone walkabout. I will be right back. All right, got my needle now. So I've got a fairly large needle, and it's got a point on the end. It's not a wool needle. So what we need to do is to find one of our strings, thread it up, and then poke it through the material to out the back here. And then split the thread in two and just tie a knot. I like to do surgeon's knots, which is basically a granny knot with an extra twist. And that's all you do. I'll hold it up so you can see. See the little knot there? Because you've pulled that through with the needle, the knot is now bigger than the hole and it won't pull through. So eventually the interfacing glue will let go, but because you're pulling through all these threads and tying knots on them, they will hold your work to its lining, and you don't have to do anything else with these bits of thread. They can just stay there, because what will happen, you'll get your lining. This is your second lining. This one is the one you put the zip in, and then you sit. Once this is all done, you turn this back out the right way, and then you sit this lining inside, which covers up all those threads. So I will do all that with all the ones on here, and when I see you next, these bags will be finished and I will explain how I did the last bits. As I said, I'm not going to do you a sewing tutorial. There is a lot of sewing instructional videos on YouTube. Just pick any one of how to put a zip in. But if you work with it like this, you have two separate pieces to put your zip in, which is a lot easier than putting it into a already made bag. That's why I did it this way. So I will see you when the rest of the bag is finished. All right, back again. And I have finished the bags. So I'll start with this littler one because it's easy to put underneath the camera. So here it is all finished. I'll show you the outside. All complete. This is the top and the zip is right here. Now, the first thing to show you, as I said before, my zips weren't quite the full length of the bag. So what I did while I was making the zips is you can just see part of it here. I did a little material end cap that just gave me enough just to get to the end so that it followed the shape of the linings. Same with here. There's a little end cap stopping the zipper going too far out. There's the stopper, so it's just after the stopper. And there's the nice flowery lining on the inside. And if you look here, this blue line, see if I can get it to focus. This blue line is me hand sewing the outside to the inside lining. I just sew it underneath the zip, which also helps hold down that bit there that sometimes gets a bit puffy. What else did I do? So I whip stitched from the end of the zip to the point. I did not include, if you remember, there was 4 stitches right on the point of this corner here when we did the outside row. I attached to them and just did a loop to hold the what do you call it? It's usually called a D-ring, but this one's an O-ring, just so that the bag could attach. And then I made myself an adjustable handle. And the reason why this works is there is 5 stitches. and I'm alternating a DC with a single crochet layer. And what that does, every DC row I can put the button through. So I can take it off of here, and if I want the bag to be longer, I go back a bit. So to there, push it through. You want it fairly tight because you want it to act like a buttonhole. And now that's given us an extra bit of strapping. So this bag can either be a crossbody bag or it can be a shoulder bag, whatever you like. And I'll show you this one as well. This one, of course, is slightly bigger because the granny squares came out slightly bigger. This one's zip was quite a bit too small, but it's still big enough to get your hands in, so that's all that really matters. So when you sew your zip in, you've got to make sure, because I machine sewed the inside lining, you've got to make sure you're clear of the teeth so that your zip can work. And then when you sew on this one, I did this by hand, and you've got to make sure the teeth of the zip are clear, and the teeth are these little metal bits, so that it can run easily. And that is about it, I think, for these bags. They're a nice quick little project. Of course, if you pick a design of a square that is more solid, you may not even have to line it. I would still put a zip in it because it's such a small bag. You don't want your stuff falling out. So a zip is always a good idea, or some kind of easier closure. I don't know that you could do a drawstring. I think it's the wrong shape bag for a drawstring. But hey, prove me wrong. I don't mind. I like being wrong. You learn things. That's about all. Now, if you wanted to make this bag so it would sit up on its own, you would have to add a gusset or a piece to the bottom. You could probably add an oval. That would give you a flat base. But this, when you use it, the weight in the bag will go to the middle and it'll bring the sides up like this shape. But these are still hollow, so you can put bigger stuff in them. With this one, the only fault with this one is because the way the African flower square is, if you can see, this edge here has got a bit of a curve. As the bag gets used, that curve will go away, but it does make it a little bit when it's new, but you know, you get that. Yeah, so that was all. I won't give you a measurement for the strap. It's just one long piece. Sorry about the noise. Put that on there so it's not going to keep hitting. So it's one long piece starting from the 4 crochets, 4 DCs that were in the corner, and it's one long piece. And what I did is I measured the full length of the bag and then times 2. So I had enough for this strap, this longer strap, to go all the way there and back again. And then this little one was only, I think it was only about 4 or 5 rows, and they were just double crochets. They didn't need to have the strengthening single crochet row. I do the single crochet row so that the button can only stretch to the size of the double crochets. It's not going to stretch bigger. If they were all double crochets, it would just stretch a bit too much. And that's all the strap is. You want a strap that it's 4 or more DCs wide, otherwise it turns into a rope and cuts your shoulder when you got weight in your bag. I speak from experience. All right, so that is all, and I do apologise. I say right so many times. You see it in the editing, and I can't cut them out, so I apologise. I'm very happy with how these bags turned out. I may do another one. I mean, I had these colours on hand. I may do another one with white. Sorry, apologise again. With white and like a soft pastel, because I think it would look nice. And if I do, I'll put that up on my Facebook page. Facebook page is the same name as the YouTube channel, so if you want to check it out, please feel free. And if you like this video, please subscribe to see more, or like so it gets higher in the algorithm and more people can see it, and that would help us out a lot. And thank you. If you've got any questions or queries or anything like that, please put them in the comments. I do read them. I may not read them straight away, but I will get to them, I promise. And I will see you on the next one, which is going to be something different. something I haven't done for a long time, so it may not be perfect to begin with, but we'll get better. And you have a great day.